Here we do parachute repacks, where we get a haul, and because they have to be repacked every year anyway. And at that we usually set up ropes so that you can clip your harness in, sit in it, and actually pull your harness out and throw it. And you realise, firstly, if you're not big, how much effort it takes to get it out. Like you have to yank the shit out of it. And then like sometimes they've got a really long kind of lanyard on it, and sometimes they're short, and that changes the way that you throw it. Like if it's really long, you can do that quickly, and the reserve stays there, and you just throw the handle and it doesn't go anywhere. So you kind of have to do 2 steps, throw it across here, and then wait, and then sling it out. So it's really good practice to do. But I was really surprised at how hard it is in my first harness, to actually pull it out, firstly. So yeah, it's a cool thing to do. So
I've definitely got a 2-step action, like pulling it out from, maybe it's just my pure strength is not enough to like get it to go anywhere. So I need to go like pull it out and then bring it across
to your
me.
chest.
And then chuck.
Yeah.
So that's what's actually going to get it to go any distance, because I think the first time I tried it, it went like, it just went there. Like, so I was like,
That's what you see in these videos. They'll go to throw, and they just kind of throw. And what actually they do is just get it out of the pocket. And it just kind of falls.
And then you don't have any further, like then you've got like the length of your wrist or whatever to like go. So I needed to.
Yeah.
So you know that from doing this already?
No, just from like hanging when I was about to do a parachute repack, just to hang. Okay, get it out. Like, oh, I do actually need to get that bigger distance to have the ability to throw it.
Yeah, I mean that's through this floor. When we do our practices, when we do a repack, you basically have to throw it hard enough to get the last piece of elastic off. Yes, it will under its own weight if it was hanging open, but realistically you've got to throw it so it will get to the cupboards over there.
Yeah.
And that's the visualisation, is like you're throwing it right across the room. Like that's how hard you have to throw it. And lots of stuff with paragliding you can visualise without actually doing it. So, even turning and catching collapses and all those things, like once you've read about it or whatever, you can just close your eyes and visualise it over and over. It's really helpful.
And having done that, then you start pulling the wing in from the seas?
Once you've thrown your reserve? Yeah, so ideally you would pull the C's, so it brings it in. But the reality is, once you've thrown that and it takes up and your wing goes off, and especially if it's all twisted up, you just grab anything. Just grab whatever string you can find. And there's a kind of a critical moment where the reserve takes up and your wing stops flying and goes in front of you. And then you kind of, the reserve catches you, but then you swing back under together. And if you don't get something while the wing's out in front and slack, then they both load up and then they can fight against each other in downplane. So that's the time, like when your wing's going out in front, you just grab as much as you can, especially if it's got lots of twists in it. That's the time that you can pull the section of rope, basically, to get to the loose lines, and then just grab some loose lines and start pulling on those. And if you miss that moment, it's really hard.
Pile in as much fabric as you can, kind of thing?
Yeah, get everything in. Like, once you've got to the fabric, you're pretty good. And the wing might like be spinning around like that, but once you've got fabric in your hand, you're pretty safe. But with strings, and especially with fine unsheathed lines, it's so easy for them to slip back out or cut your fingers or whatever. So I know at SIV, like a few people didn't get their main wing in, and like it was just a good thing it was water, because they hit pretty hard with the wing and the reserve downplaning.